JRPGs are a very interesting genre of games. They tend to be a little bit odd, and unless you've played the game, you have no idea what's going on in the scene, and you're not supposed to. So let me just go ahead and close the door on that, and we'll proceed with the review from there. Hello everyone, my name is Jojo, and welcome to Jojopinion. Today we'll be discussing Atelier Ryza 3, Alchemist of the End, and the Secret Key. And, I'll just be kind of highlighting different aspects of the game, kind of going a little bit over the series, but mainly focusing on this game. It is kind of an odd way to start a review series, but since, it is the third game, but that's just the way I roll around here, and that's how I'm going to do it. So let's get right into it. So the first thing we'll be diving into will be the combat system in the game. It is it was a unique combat system to me. It wasn't the traditional turn-based I'm used to, or it's not the mobs that you can just kind of go all out and attack. It was more of you find an enemy, you attack them, and then you initiate combat, or vice versa. And the way the system was set up, you have your party members, traditional party members of 3 with 2 in the back line. If you ever need to swap somebody out, you can either focus and control one character, you can, switch and control different characters. I always like to focus on the one character. You can also set commands for your other party members if you want someone who just solely support you, or someone to be fully aggressive and attack the enemy non-stop until they basically die. Personally, I went for the control one character strategy and just swapped out as I needed to. But that's what's great about the game. You can just set up your battle however you want to. That's one highlight for me. So you can't really discuss an Atelier game without getting into the alchemy aspect of it, which is what they call the crafting system in this series. And alchemy is the name of the game. You go out and attack enemies, and they'll drop you and reward you with items. The higher tier the enemy, the better the item, of course. There's also farming tools that allow you to explore parts of the game and collect more synthesization materials. I think that's how I pronounced it correctly, but I don't know. Synthesization. And whatever. Regardless, I think the crafting system is a very straightforward one. You have your web, as I would call it, and you start off with one item and expand it and make the weapon either more powerful or have it a higher rarity, or the tool. Either way, it all just kind of flows together. Materials are hard to come by in the beginning of the game, like with any game, and then as you gain experience and go throughout, you start getting better items, better enemies, till eventually you develop items that allow you to fill multiple parts of the web. That's one of the great benefits of towards the end of the game, is you're able to craft those items. They're a little harder to come by in this game in particular, because I feel like for some tools, like in order to craft the Philosopher's Stone, you need to have a little farm and then just kind of have a rare planting seed to create it. It was kind of a pain, but I definitely enjoyed, being rewarded for my efforts. And I think that's another plus for the game. You can't really discuss a JRPG, or any RPG for that matter, or open world game without discussing the traveling system. I think the traveling system is one that's very important to the Atelier series. It's something that they kind of expanded upon a little bit from the first all the way to the third game. It's just landmarks and just kind of going around the island, and then in the second it's kind of still that, but they implement a little creature you can add to kind of make it easier to travel around, and then, or unless they added him in the first game too and I'm just completely forgetting about it. And then in the third game they add more variety of the creatures, so you could either get in the water faster because there's more actual water travel in the third game, and then there's obstacles that you need to break in the third game. One of the other aspects of fast travel that I personally dislike is having to go back to the Atelier, which is also the home base, in order to travel in between locations, different islands. I didn't enjoy that. As you can see here, I'm not really happy that I have to go all the way back to this area just so I could go to the underworld. It's kind of a pain, and really just being able to click something and just go would be a lot easier. But that's just my gripe. If anybody knows how to do that, I would appreciate that, but I couldn't find any way to get there any faster. But I definitely didn't enjoy having to do that, and I would have enjoyed being able to see how far I am away from my home island. all the way to where I was at. But yeah, that's just a whole other issue. But as far as traveling goes, it was fairly simple. Getting up ladders was a pain in the neck for me. I definitely didn't enjoy that. Another aspect that I did enjoy, though, was kind of feeling like I could pat myself on the back after discovering a landmark. That was always fun. But yeah, fast travel is pretty straightforward, and I enjoyed it, so it shouldn't be that much of a pain. But yeah, I have left to answer is the story of Ryza one worth telling? And as you know, you're only as good as your story in any game, unless the game doesn't have a story. But in this case, it does. So let's get into it. Atelier Ryza is a story of a girl who goes from being just kind of a bother to everyone in the village, to someone who eventually goes on to become someone who's very well respected and who people come to in the time of need. And that's a complete 180 of who they were. And that's kind of important, or not kind of, it is important. I think Ryza shows a lot of emotional maturity throughout the game. Physically, she doesn't change much like her friend, but everyone else just looks wise, changes a little bit. But Ryza kind of stays the same in that aspect. Her personality's still there at its core. She enjoys being a little childish and making fun of people, but at the same time, she's someone who has a lot of respect for others and someone who cares very much about her friends. I think the set can be same for a lot of her companions and and the people she meets throughout her journey. She settles a lot of disputes, so even outside her village, she's someone who commands a lot of authority, and that's kind of how the story ends for her. She wants to go out there and explore more in the world, and that's something she's able to achieve. And the same goes for the other characters. They all go on to do their own thing, and they don't kind of just settle for their lives. They go out there and do things, and I think that's an important message for anyone who's ever wanted to do anything. You can always go out there and achieve more. You're not resigned to your fate. Well, if you enjoyed this video, thank you very much. Stick around for the next one, and I hope to get that out soon. Thank you very much.